find yourself studying something, a person perhaps, and you're wondering, why? Why are you like this? Was it all for nothing? Greetings, Outlander. I am Lady Llivia, and I have successfully managed to extend my life for over 900 years, and I don't plan to stop now. It is the greatest aspiration for any living creature, and yet, when handed immortality, the Underking squandered it. Yes, the Underking, also known as Zuranarctus, or even Aaron the Fox, if that lich Manimarco is to be believed, was one of these mysteries, and had a hand in shaping one of the most monumental moments in Tamriel's history. And yet, if you were to ask any person, each would give you a different answer.
He's just a lich, isn't it? Zuranarctus, finest battle mage the Empire ever saw. Magnus is chosen. Who?
None but Ismir Wolfheart, of course.
Heretical conspiracy aside, the Underking was a person or being who was able to entirely evade death itself. But whether he intended this was arguable. So what sort of person came across such power?
Zuranarctus first came to prominence as a strategist and tactician under General Talos during the conquest of Culicane at the close of the Second Era. But upon Culicane's suspiciously convenient death, it was Zuranarctus to proclaim his general
Emperor Tiber Septim. Zuran was with him as the first Imperial battle mage and one of the best diplomats of their time, even being able to broker an armistice with the weakening tribunal. This allowed them to be conquered with compromise, which was a pretty good deal. They were allowed to continue worshipping the living gods.
You suck. You.
And preserve their sacred right of slavery. However, the Dunmer were a little more clever than that. Handing over the Numidium was all well and good, but it didn't even work. It needed the heart of Lorcan, which, at the time, was locked behind an ash storm filled with flesh-eating beasts and monsters. Imperials are, as always, though, crafty. Arctus put his heart, his life force, into an enormous gem known as the Mantella, which brought the false brass god to life. He also gifted the Emperor an object known as the Totem of Tiber Septim, which is an incredibly suggestive name, given that it only allowed people of a royal lineage to control the Numidium. So what was Arctus rewarded with for so selflessly gifting his essence to the Emperor to unify all of Tamriel? Heartbreak, of course. A betrayal of the highest order. Tiber Septim used the Numidium to complete his conquest, and then afterwards crushed all the neutral families, replacing them with Imperial loyalists. Zuran was furious at the blatant misuse of this weapon of mass destruction that had never been misused before. He went to reclaim his life force from Mantella, but the attempt destroyed the Numidium and Zuranarctus both. His heart was blown into the Aetherius beyond the stars. The attempt was an abject failure. Though, with half of his spirit still lingering within the Mantella, Zuran's soul refused to leave his dying body. He fell into a slumber within a subterranean vault, waiting for his soul. The man always known as a planner and a strategist had made a blunder. Forever to be known as the Underking, multiple people would try to reclaim the Numidium and the Mantella, but would always be stopped by the undead menace. A menace which also happened to have access to an extensive spy network made up of minions sent forth to go and search for his heart. Finally, during the warp in the West, which is a whole other thing, we'll talk about that some other time, an agent of the Blades reunited Arctus the Underking with his heart, allowing him to die forever. There is one book, known as the Arcturian Heresy, attributed to an unknown source, but well known amongst master scholars such as myself. It says that Zuranarctus was framed, made out to be an assassin by Tiber Septim, and used to get the Mantella from the Underking, who was instead just Smir Wolfhearth, an old Nord ruler, made undead by an ancient curse.
Mr. Underking, are the allegations true?
I did not. Look,
one whom had helped Talos, helped build his empire in secret. But does this have any credibility? Was Xehanarctus a scapegoat for an ambitious warlord building his domain across Tamriel? Probably not. Now, for one who is looking to extend their life, what can be learned here? Well, firstly, you can't be selfless. And secondly, build a legacy that stands up to hearsay. The very fact that Xehanarctus did so much, and yet his actions are still debated to this day, shows that really he was quite a weak person, at least in my opinion. Ultimately, it's a selfish act that I am to undertake. And that was the Underking's big mistake. He worried too much about those he was ultimately better than. His desire for something for himself, namely dying, came way too late. I think I'll have to research some different people, some different topics. There's not much to find here in the story of Xehanarctus. As frankly, while he did help the Septims build their empire and he did accidentally conquer death, I don't intend to do this for somebody else. I don't intend to do anything by mistake. So come back later, and maybe I'll tell you something else of interest to me, or you. Mostly me.
So I went on the parade, and do you know who I saw there? I literally saw the Llivia family. And I remember when we were little babies, not, sucking on the heart. I remember that Philo Llivia came to me and he said, "Did you have the crepes?" And I said, "No, of course I didn't have the crepes. I'm lactose intolerant." And I thought, I'll smite him tonight. I'll just teleport into his house and smite him. Right?
Oh, brother, this guy